What is man? Man is a noisome bacillus whom our Heavenly Father created because he was disappointed in the monkey. Patriotism is supporting your country all the time and your government when it deserves it. Now and then we had a hope that if we lived and were good, God would permit us to be pirates. I thoroughly disapprove of duels. If a man should challenge me, I would take him kindly and forgivingly by the hand and lead him to a quiet place and kill him. Life does not consist mainly, or even largely, of facts or happenings. It consists mainly of the storm of thoughts that is forever flowing through one's head. Censorship is telling a man he can't have a steak just because a baby can't chew it. That is just the way with some people. They get down on a thing when they don't know nothing about it. Training is everything. The peach was once a bitter almond, cauliflower is nothing but cabbage with a college education. Too much of anything is bad, but too much good whiskey is barely enough. The man who is a pessimist before 48 knows too much, if he is an optimist after it he knows too little. Ignorant people think it is the noise which fighting cats make that is so aggravating, but it ain't so, it is the sickening grammar that they use. When I am king they shall not have bread and shelter only, but also teachings out of books, for a full belly is little worth where the mind is starved. Habit is habit, and not to be flung out of the window by any man, but coaxed downstairs one step at a time. But who prays for Satan? Who, in 18 centuries, has had the common humanity to pray for the one sinner that needed it most? The difference between the almost right word and the right word is really a large matter. 'Tis the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning. I do not fear death. I had been dead for billions and billions of years before I was born, and had not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it. Loyalty to country always. Loyalty to government, when it deserves it. Truth is stranger than fiction, but it is because fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities, truth isn't. Don't part with your illusions. When they are gone you may still exist, but you have ceased to live. Everyone is a moon, and has a dark side which he never shows to anybody. If you pick up a starving dog and make him prosperous he will not bite you. This is the principal difference between a dog and man. If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you read the newspaper, you're misinformed. Always do what is right. It will gratify half of mankind and astound the other. The trouble is not in dying for a friend, but in finding a friend worth dying for. I've lived through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. Education, the path from cocky ignorance to miserable uncertainty. The easy confidence with which I know another man's religion is folly teaches me to suspect that my own is also. All you need in this life is ignorance and confidence, then success is sure. The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. If animals could speak, the dog would be a blundering outspoken fellow, but the cat would have the rare grace of never saying a word too much. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. A banker is a fellow who lends you his umbrella when the sun is shining, but wants it back the minute it begins to rain. April 1st. This is the day upon which we are reminded of what we are on the other 364. It is better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you are a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. If it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first. Never argue with stupid people, they will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. I have found out that there ain't no surer way to find out whether you like people or hate them than to travel with them. Of all the animals, man is the only one that is cruel. He is the only one that inflicts pain for the pleasure of doing it. To get the full value of joy you must have someone to divide it with. Heaven goes by favor. If it went by merit, you would stay out and your dog would go in. I must have a prodigious amount of mind, it takes me as much as a week, sometimes, to make it up. It is curious that physical courage should be so common in the world and moral courage so rare. After all these years, I see that I was mistaken about even the beginning. It is better to live outside the garden with her than inside it without her. The most interesting information come from children, for they tell all they know and then stop. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. When we remember we are all mad, the mysteries disappear and life stands explained. The Bible has noble poetry in it, and some good morals and a wealth of obscenity, and upwards of 1,000 lies. Always acknowledge a fault. This will throw those in authority off their guard and give you an opportunity to commit more. Giving up smoking is the easiest thing in the world. I know because I've done it thousands of times. Eat a live frog first thing in the morning and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. I have a higher and grander standard of principle than George Washington. He could not lie, I can, but I won't. If voting made any difference they wouldn't let us do it. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. Part of the secret of success in life is to eat what you like and let the food fight it out inside. It is better to deserve honors and not have them than to have them and not deserve them. Never argue with an idiot. They will only bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. There was never yet an uninteresting life. Such a thing is an impossibility. Inside of the dullest exterior there is a drama, a comedy, and a tragedy. It takes your enemy and your friend, working together, to hurt you to the heart, the one to slander you and the other to get the news to you. In the beginning of a change the patriot is a scarce man, and brave, and hated and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. The right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as a rightly timed pause. Thunder is good, thunder is impressive, but it is lightning that does the work. In the first place God made idiots. This was for practice. Then he made school boards. There's one way to find out if a man is honest, ask him. If he says yes, you know he's crooked. Let us live so that when we come to die even the undertaker will be sorry. Few things are harder to put up with than the annoyance of a good example. I couldn't bear to think about it, and yet, somehow, I couldn't think about nothing else. The only way to keep your health is to eat what you don't want, drink what you don't like, and do what you'd rather not. It could probably be shown by facts and figures that there is no distinctly Native American criminal class except Congress. The secret source of humor is not joy but sorrow. There is no humor in heaven. In Paris they just simply opened their eyes and stared when we spoke to them in French. We never did succeed in making those idiots understand their own language. I wish I could make him understand that a loving good heart is riches enough, and that without it intellect is poverty. When people do not respect us we are sharply offended, yet deep down in his private heart no man much respects himself. Conservatism is the blind and fear-filled worship of dead radicals. The radical of one century is the conservative of the next. The radical invents the views. When he has worn them out, the conservative adopt. December is the toughest month of the year. Others are July, January, September, April, November, May, March, June, October, August, and February. The only difference between reality and fiction is that fiction needs to be credible. I take my only exercise acting as a pallbearer at the funerals of my friends who exercise regularly. There are several good protections against temptations, but the surest is cowardice. Patriot, the person who can holler the loudest without knowing what he is hollering about. When red-headed people are above a certain social grade their hair is auburn. Noise proves nothing. Often a hen who has laid an egg cackles as if she had laid an asteroid. Don't wake up a woman in love. Let her dream, so that she does not weep when she returns to her bitter reality. I am an old man and have known a great many troubles, but most of them have never happened. A home without a cat, and a well-fed, well-petted and properly revered cat, may be a perfect home, perhaps, but how can it prove title? When a man loves cats, I am his friend and comrade, without further introduction. The less there is to justify a traditional custom, the harder it is to get rid of it. Right is right, and wrong is wrong, and a body ain't got no business doing wrong when he ain't ignorant and knows better. Nothing that grieves us can be called little. By the eternal laws of proportion a child's loss of a doll and a king's loss of a crown are events of the same size. Do something every day that you don't want to do. This is the golden rule for acquiring the habit of doing your duty without pain. While the rest of the species is descended from apes, redheads are descended from cats. Grief can take care of itself, but to get the full value of joy you must have somebody to divide it with. The man who does not read has no advantage over the man who cannot read. Never put off till tomorrow what may be done day after tomorrow just as well. Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to reform, or pause and reflect. A light can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes. Don't go around saying the world owes you a living. The world owes you nothing. It was here first. The difference between the almost right word and the right word is really a large matter. 'Tis the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning. What would men be without women? Scarce, sir, mighty scarce. Hain't we got all the fools in town on our side? And hain't that a big enough majority in any town? Education, that which reveals to the wise, and conceals from the stupid, the vast limits of their knowledge. If we would learn what the human race really is at bottom, we need only observe it in election times. Most writers regard the truth as their most valuable possession, and therefore are economical in its use. High and fine literature is wine, and mine is only water, but everybody likes water. There are three things men can do with women: love them, suffer them, or turn them into literature.